There are those who claim we can't leave Earth because a strange force prevents it. Well, what can I tell you? Even the ancients said that they had intergalactic interstellar travel. In almost 60 years of NASA's so-called space exploration, it has never been able to offer us a single genuine photograph of Earth from space, no real one that is. Even though we've had good high-resolution cameras for almost 100 years, NASA has never taken a picture of our planet Earth. The answer could be that NASA has never been in space, or at least not far enough from Earth to get the entire planet in one picture. Houston, we have a problem, they said, and above we've been able to see some photos of NASA space shuttle rockets and launches using long exposures to allow us to follow the vehicle for much longer than we would see during normal TV coverage. You notice something strange in the trajectories? Well, I'm not a genius, the writer says, but according to my Flash Gordon comics, rockets are supposed to go up, not up and then immediately back down or somewhere in the sea. Cycling the Earth, beginning at the altitude of 1,000 miles, that's 1,600 kilometers, and extending an additional 25,000 miles, that's 40,000 kilometers, are deadly bands of radiation called the Van Allen belts, the radiation belts, which could fry instrumentation at board and make any foolhardy astronaut sick enough to pass by passing through them. So how did the Apollo missions get through the Van Allen belts back in the 1960s, when NASA is currently struggling with ways to protect its astronauts on their next trip to Mars? And here's something for anyone who still believes concerning space travel. It's a bristling coverage at the Apollo 11 press conference immediately after the astronauts returned to Earth. Keep in mind that these three astronauts have supposedly just returned from the greatest adventure in the history of mankind, and they're national heroes of the United States. They have fulfilled every child's dream of going into space, and we hope you're excited and buoyed up that you survived the journey, walked on the moon, and yet they're strangely muffled, nervously watching their teleprompters and each other as they answer reporters' questions. Stars? What stars? The Apollo 11 press conference held after the astronauts returned. Neil Armstrong was asked if he remembered seeing any stars in the lunar sky, a subject the crew was apparently asked to avoid since the correct astrological positions of the constellations were too difficult to simulate on the lunar backgrounds. Armstrong then erroneously spotted with "I don't remember," to which Aldrin winces at his mistake, as if one might forget an important detail that they witnessed firsthand in their universally unique experience. And to help Armstrong get over being shot at for this difficult question, crew member Michael Collins offered assistance by interjecting, saying, "I don't recall seeing any." The problem is he forgot he was not there. It was Buzz Aldrin who supposedly walked on the surface of the moon with Armstrong and not Mike Collins. So what if this is not possible? It's not possible to send things into space, even put things into Earth's orbit. There are three serious obstacles to being able to put things into space and getting them to stay there, and these must be accommodated within our reality frame so that we can determine what is real and what is NASA's reality. One, the thermosphere. Forget the deadly Van Allen radiation belts, which stretch thousands of miles around Earth. And the main reason nothing has ever gone there is the thermosphere. This atmospheric layer begins at about 50 miles, that's 80 kilometers up, where temperatures begin to rise up to the Kármán line, which reaches 62 miles. Beyond this point, the heat increases dramatically, rising rapidly to 125 miles, where temperatures can reach a whopping 2,500 degrees centigrade. I didn't even know that. For reference, the oven in your kitchen can reach 240 degrees centigrade maximum. The crematorium reaches 1,000 degrees centigrade, and a blast furnace for melting iron can reach as high as 2,300 degrees centigrade. NASA uses aluminum, magnesium, titanium, and epoxy graphite composite materials to build a spacecraft, all of which would melt in these high temperatures of the thermosphere. Both aluminum and magnesium melt at 660 degrees Celsius, titanium at 1,668 degrees Celsius. White graphite has a melting point of 5,500 degrees Celsius. It's also an excellent conductor of heat, although your spacecraft will most likely disintegrate long before the astronauts are cooked to ashes. Humans cannot survive exposure above 70 degrees Celsius. Number 2, the orbiting mechanism. What things float in space when they are beyond 100 kilometers from Earth? Does gravity magically stop affecting objects at this distance? The official answer is that above 100 kilometers, objects are essentially in free fall, but if something is traveling fast enough laterally, like the space shuttle at 28,000 kilometers per hour, then this speed will cause the object to fall constantly along the convex curve of the Earth, thus never reaching the ground, hence keeping itself in orbit. This is known as the theory of gravity, the extrapolation of an idea originally conceived by Isaac Newton in the 17th century, and today increasingly rejected by more clear-headed people who have their feet firmly on the ground. In fact, Isaac Newton himself, after some contemplation, thought of the practical application of his ridiculous theory, as he put it in a letter to a friend, Richard Bentley, in 1692. Quote, that gravity should be innate, inherent, and essential to matter, so that one body can act on another at a distance through a vacuum without the mediation of anything else, by and through which its actions and force can begin transmitting from one to another, is to me such an absurdity that I believe that no man who has in philosophical matters a competent faculty of thought can ever fall into it. End quote. This is by Isaac Newton. The idea that a body with sufficient mass can exert an attractive force on another, as a planet is supposed to have on its moon, astronauts and spacecraft, has never been demonstrated or proven. An increasing number of physicists and physicists are questioning whether gravity exists at all. The 3 is the abundance of counterfeit. If NASA really has put things into orbit, sent men to the moon, and launched the probes into space, then why is there so much secrecy, subterfuge, and falsification concerning this? And the biggest damnation of all, why can't NASA produce a simple, genuine photograph of the Earth from space? They're all simulations. So the iconic images of Earth pieced together from alleged satellite data and then photoshopped so crudely that you can see if you click on the image. The discovery of duplicate clouds has led to accusations that not only is the 2002 image, the Blue Marble 2, a fake, but the original Apollo 17 images, Blue Marble, was probably a fake as well. And that in turn has led some to question whether everything that was brought back as images said was false. NASA says this spectacular image of the Blue Marble is the most detailed true color image of the entire Earth to date. And using a set of satellite-based observations, scientists and visualizers stitched together months of observations of the land surface, oceans, sea ice, and clouds into a seamless true color mosaic of every square kilometer of our planet. And it's all about expectations. A NASA astronaut says, an artist says, the last time someone took a picture from above low Earth orbit that showed a full hemisphere, one side of the globe, was in 1972 during Apollo 17. NASA's Earth Observatory System, EOS, satellites were designed to perform a health check on the Earth, and by the year 2002, we finally had enough data to take a snapshot of the entire Earth, and that's how we did it. The hardest part was creating a flat top map of the Earth's surface using 4 months worth of satellite data. Rito Stalky, now at the Federal Office of Meteorology and Climatology, did much of this work. And Robert Simon, NASA artist, said, "So we wrapped the flat map around a sphere. My part was to integrate the surface, clouds, and oceans to match people's expectations of what the Earth looks like from space. That ball became the famous blue marble." All very fascinating, but wouldn't it be easy to just take just a picture from one of its 3,000 plus satellites? Apparently not. The good folks at NASA tell us that the only photos, quote unquote, of the entire Earth were taken during Apollo 17 mission. The fact that this mission, along with all other Apollo missions, never actually left Earth goes to make finding these photos problematic. Yes, NASA has been sending objects into space for years. The problem is that this US government agency with its multi-million-dollar budget has a monopoly on all space artifacts. The only way to know for sure would be to go there ourselves, independent of NASA, and have a look around. Is this exactly what Sir Richard Branson attempted in 2014? Will there be a conclusion to make? By conclusion, do we mean a judgment or determination about the reality of NASA's space program? Is that what we want, even if it risks being presented with a worst case scenario where it has all been perhaps not as they show us? Because if, as the facts seem to indicate, then we might have to get used to a new reality. And this is on Mysterious Society by Zach White. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.